I was watching a YouTube video where they were talking about affecting social change and how the heroes in America are fighting the evil, but they are keeping the public passive. Yeah, the idea that the people who are always waiting to be saved, they don't do anything themselves. That's also very interesting, and that's something I see. I see this, right? Like I just showed you. I showed you this a little while back, right? These are all the leftists, right? Good people, right? Nothing wrong with them. They're getting on digital platforms and they're talking and they're commentating and they're all that kind of stuff. And my critique of the leftist movements here in Canada and the United States is that they are refusing to do what must be done. They are all sitting there, raising their voices, which is excellent, raising points, critiquing and analyzing, which is all very wonderful. And it is, and I don't really wade too deeply into like the theory of it. Some of these leftists really go at each other, right? And they really like create, oh, this guy said this and I disagree and all that kind of stuff. And I don't really care to do that, really. But I will critique people on this front, which is that just as you say, everybody is sort of waiting for a savior to come. And you have all of these leftists who are standing here being like, yes, when the movement comes, when the revolution comes, I will grab a hold of it and join them with my strength and power, and we all together will go off into whatever, and etc. and so on. And none of them seem to realize that that's literally not how this fucking works. That each and every one of them need to be getting into the streets, that they are the ones that need to make the flyer, that they are the ones that need to set the date, that they are the ones that need to be pushing their own people into the streets, that they are the ones that need to be organizing into the streets, that they are the movement, that they are not waiting to be saved, that they are the saviors, that they haven't gotten to that point yet where they see that that's what must be done. And they live in a society where they are surrounded by voices that want it to be that way. Because if you have a society of oppressed, beleaguered people who are waiting for a savior, well, then you can give them a savior every so often, right? Like Obama was, right? Like Obama was. And they'll all waste their time and all scrabble around, right? 8 years pissed away because Obama was going to save us. And then it was Bernie, right? And none of these guys have put together that this savior complex that we're existing in can be broken and should be broken. And the way you break it is by making a flyer, setting a date, handing the flyer out, and then showing up on the date that you put on the flyer. And continue doing that. And eventually, there'll be thousands of people on the streets because everybody's looking around for a savior. Well, guess what? That would be you. And I say this all the time to anybody. I get people coming into this chat all the time saying to me, oh, John, I live out in like Oshawa. I live out in Thunder Bay. I live in a small community in Portage Prairie, and I'm just waiting for something to happen, but there's nothing really going on here. And so I tell them, well, then it's you, bud. Then it's you. And that's the only critique that I think I will ever levy on these leftists. That when it comes time for theory crafting and all that kind of stuff, I'll fine. I have my opinions, you have yours. I don't really care to make a video about it. I'll gladly talk to you about it on the streets where we should have these conversations. But the only critique I will levy at all of them, every single one of these, without exception, they are not galvanizing their people to get into the streets. And some of these guys have like 100,000 followers, right? And that's the only solution that we have left, is to galvanize people into the streets, to radicalize people and mobilize people to get people into the streets. And they're not doing it. And I know why. It's pretty clear why they're not doing it. It's because that they have found a successful business model and they care more about their business than they care about the movement. that their business is talking about the movement. It's not about creating the movement. And the idea of shifting your focus into creating the movement, it implicitly threatens the existence of your business, which is what pays for your food and your shelter. And so in that way, this capitalist YouTube model disincentivizes the very thing that we must be doing, which is getting into the streets, encouraging people to set a date, meet, gather, protest. That's what must be done. That you're not going to actually get anything done if you keep thinking all you're going to do is have political conversations and then put a ballot in the ballot box. The White House must be surrounded, as it has been many times in the past. That's how something is actually going to happen. And in this country, the parliament buildings have to be surrounded. That's how things happen. It doesn't work any other way. And these people who are waiting around for a savior, it's not going to happen. You are the savior. It's you. There is no one else. So please join me at my protest, September 18th, 2 p.m., Yonge and Dundas Square, if you're in Toronto. These next 10 years are going to be absolutely bonkers. These next 10 years are going to be absolutely bonkers.